Thank you, Mary. Back for a fifth year, the Joslyn Castle Car Classic. That's not to say that classic cars are going to be on display. Instead, the cars, trucks, motorcycles, they're vintage, and they're all quite rare. Kelsey, Bugjo, and Alan Tast are part of the group that hand selects these cars. Welcome this morning. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Alan, let's get right to the cars because this is what everybody wants to know about. What's the difference between a classic car and a vintage car?
Well, that depends upon your how you want to define
how you want to classify
how you want to classify it. In essence, a lot of people like to use the term classic when they talk about cars that have a certain stature or have a certain provenance or
right. Like this one, what would you consider this?
I would consider
and
that,
what is it?
Well, first off, that's a 1948 Plymouth Special Deluxe station wagon. Some people like to call it a Woody.
Well, you can call it that.
Yeah.
But it's also, I would consider that kind of vintage. Would you consider that vintage, or is that more classic?
I probably could. Like I said, a lot of times classic kind of leans toward things like this sports car.
Okay.
This is a 1953 Austin Healey that will be on display at the castle.
Now, what will we see? So like this one, has this been restored, or is this kind of all natural?
This one has been restored. Most of the cars that will be on display during the course of the weekend are restored. This is a 56 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, for instance.
Look how long is that thing from front end to back end? That
it
thing
is
long.
Probably longer than most people's garages nowadays.
Yeah, that wouldn't fit in my garage. I know
I'd say roughly about 19 feet, something like that. So
You'll have to stop out to the show and see it.
You'll have to see it. And what's this?
This is a 1950 Jaguar XK120 Roadster.
Wow. Is that going to be at the show?
That will be at the show. It's been there before. You can see the castle in the background. Several of the cars that will be there will be on display for the first time. For instance, the green car that you see there on the front, that is a early 60s Jensen, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's a 64 Morgan. And the interesting thing about that
What's a Morgan?
A Morgan is a car that was built in Great Britain. They were still building them up through the late 90s, for instance, and interestingly enough, they were built on, it was aluminum on top of a wood frame. As opposed to being all metal construction.
So that's one of those you want to crawl up under that, right?
Check it out. That's one of those you really like to take a good look at, because the nice thing about the Joslyn show is you see a lot of vehicles come out that typically wouldn't come out for the parking lot events that you see at the shopping malls and that type of thing over the weekends.
Yeah.
It's somewhat of it's not really a formal show, and I'm not going to say it's an exclusive show, but you get a fantastic mix of a lot of the higher end collector vehicles that are in the area. And people have asked, are they just from Omaha? No.
Well, that's what I want to know. Is there a connection with these cars to Omaha, or are they just from all over?
All over Nebraska, Iowa. I think we've drawn from South Dakota in the past as well. But it's really become one of the premier car shows in the area.
That's really neat. And right now you're still looking for some more cars. So if people want to show off their goods,
visit
they can still get in this.
JoslynCastle.com/Car Classic, and we're still accepting applications.
What type of cars are you looking for?
We're looking for primarily original type vehicles. We're not really looking for anything that's highly modified, like some people would call a street rod or a hot rod or that type of thing. We're trying to play off of the setting of the castle and the emphasis on originality and design and elegance.
And the castle is one of the other things I want to talk to you about, because the setting because the cars are kind of parked all over the grounds.
Yes,
talk about that setting.
Yeah, we strategically place the cars across the castle grounds under the beautiful trees. It's not like your typical 50s car show in a parking lot. The setting is truly beautiful, and in addition to seeing all of the classic cars,
some other activities. Yes,
we have lots of other activities. You can have a tour of the Joslyn Castle. We'll have face painting for the kids, a clown, concessions will be available. And new this year, the Joslyn Castle actually has a garden, so we're bringing in a historic tractor as well.
Nice. So, set that right in the garden.
And Kelsey kind of segues into something that's rather interesting. And that is not only will we have a lot of higher end and more common vehicles on display like cars, but we'll also have some nicely restored pickup trucks and a couple of antique motorcycles, including a 1919 Excelsior.
An Excelsior, a lot of really neat stuff that you don't always
Rare.
see.
Exactly.
Especially rare, yeah, vintage,
Right.
Vintage.
Yeah,
And speaking of the Joslyn Castle itself is pretty vintage. JoslynCastle.com is the website that you can go to learn more information about it. There's tickets available at Hy-Vee.
Yes.
And
online.
online.
Right.
Good stuff. Guys, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
you.
Thanks for
You
having
betcha.
us. All right.
Buying